Hey everyone, welcome to Book of Catherine, and this is my, update, I suppose, to my new library. So if you've watched The Secret Book, then you know what my new library is, and I'll try to include a link up here when I have the opportunity. So it is basically about purchases of things in our past. As we know, Google has been wiping our history off the face of the earth, and even worse, they are changing our history. Changing our history a great deal. They're not just changing our history, they are manipulating our history, giving us like completely different information. A good indicator would be most recently it would be sanctuary states, giving us one map in one organization, giving that map 5 states and giving another one 7 states, when in reality it's both together, it's 12 states, and doing that on purpose. It is really scary out there. Also, not being able to find a map that has all the states together, like an actual map that has all the states on it together. And the reason they didn't do that is because a state that knows that it has a sanctuary city would say, like, that actually isn't correct. It would get people talking. And so Google wipes all of those maps off, and so you can't find it. It's just really disturbing. So what do I have to update you with my library? So in my previous one, I had a 1992 book that I had found, and so I've been doing research, and I said I'm going to try and find things that are from those times. And it's been kind of funny because I didn't mean to, but now I've been finding that if I buy anything, which I didn't before, like I just don't, like we didn't have the budget to do that. And when I did buy before, it would be makeup. Like if I ever had any expenditure, it would be makeup. And then that just disappeared completely when I found out about the scam that YouTube had going. So if you don't know about that, that's in my Is YouTube Really Free? No, actually not in Is YouTube Really Free? That was in my Is Tati, How Tati Films 5 times a week. So if you want to see that, I will try and get that up here sometime. But you can find it on my channel. And boy, was that research. And I post that research on my Twitter feed. You can find it. That I put up receipts and everything, like pictures, screenshot after screenshot after screenshot, proving all of that scam. It was absolutely incredible. All the stuff that they make it impossible to find, but I found it all. Oh, it really, really was shocking. So anyway, the nice thing is that this kind of stuff from history is really not all that expensive. Though I did actually... That's why I want to show it to you, because I did actually get, for us, it's expensive. For us, it's expensive just because of my medical bills. They are so extensive, and so they're just so massive that for us, these things are expensive. But it's interesting to me. Once I got them, I want to tell you this. I visited somebody's site recently, not site, Instagram page or something recently. Now, I had decorated my room somehow, and with trinkets and things that I loved, and I thought my room was so unique. Like, I was like, oh, this is so unique. This is me. This is it. And I visited someone's Instagram page, and I was like surfing around, and I was like, that's all my stuff. And it didn't feel good. I was like, that's all. And I'd never met them. I didn't know them. And they just had all of my stuff. Like everything. And we're not talking just like the Alex drawers from IKEA. We're talking like the art on the walls. Like the art on the walls. Like, and the bookshelves and like the art on the bookshelf. And I had shopped for that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had not, and I was like, how many places was that available? Like, I really thought it was unique, and I thought it was to me, and I was like, these people have gotten good, because that they do is they take the data that we put into, like the data that they collect from us, is what they use that data that they collect from us from online, and they use that data in order to design things. And that's how they're nailing it so well. They're nailing the design so well. That's why they're doing such a good job. And then they link you up online with people who are like you. And so I've been noticing that just like the people who like they suggest or who I follow or who I end up hooking up with online or whatever. And then I go to see their Instagram pages and I'm like, and I'm like, there's little like carbon copies of me out there. And we didn't used to live like that. And then I started getting these things in the mail and I was like, I suddenly felt like I finally had moved myself back into reality, like back into like the history that we used to live in. Like, and I finally felt like I'd finally stepped out of like the corporate thing, like out of Target basically, if that makes sense. I finally felt like I had moved myself out of the corporate sphere and off of the internet and off of the buying treadmill or something like that. I finally felt like I was like, oh, this is me now. Like I have joined the rest of society, or not the rest of society. I felt like I'd finally left those pods in the Matrix or something, and I felt like I joined history, if that makes sense. When I got these things, I was like, I felt connected to human history, finally, having these things in my home. It like centered me deeply. And I was like, okay, I definitely want to share them with you. Like, definitely want to share them with you. And I realized that I'm never going to be buying anything to decorate the house again from like TJ Maxx or from Walmart, or, you know, those are the places I can afford anymore. So I'm like, buy me a coffee, support these videos. Like, if I add value to life, please support this channel. So YouTube does not allow me to monetize. They love censoring this channel. I am a danger to their bottom line. Please don't be a danger to my bottom line. So yeah, they are, it just feels good to like shift it. I felt like I switched, I felt like I got off the freeway and joined this other freeway that had been going on for centuries and had been long forgotten. And this other freeway was just a racetrack that kept going in circles and just didn't go anywhere. And I finally got off the ramp and just joined a freeway that went back, way, way back. And this one was just going down out into the sunset. And I was like, and there was like this settling of like, oh, this is where you know, and I just suddenly felt all the objects in my house that were commercially made, like, you know, made in China or whatever. You know, they suddenly, and I realized, I've talked to you guys about this. I realized that the billionaires, like, they don't have this carbon copy stuff made from China in their house. They have this stuff, you know, the Rothschilds and stuff like that. This is the stuff they have in the house. This is what makes them successful because they've kept themselves connected to history. I asked that in that secret book. In the secret book, I said, like, what do you think they have in their houses? Do you think they have anything after 1992? And that's kind of what I was, you know, leading up to. So let me show you what I got. So let's just kind of seep into it just slowly. So the first thing I got is, well, this is not the order I got it in, but we'll start with this. So it is Blowing the Whistle on Genocide. So by Josiah E. Dubois, Jr., and the Struggle for a U.S. Response to the Holocaust. So he is the young gentleman who was working in, I believe, the State Department, and the Holocaust was going on. Remember how we didn't respond? It went on for like 7 years and we didn't respond. Like the moment we responded, it ended like that, like concentration camps and everything. The moment we responded, it was like, bam, over. Like it was over. It took like nothing. All we had to do was respond. It wasn't like years. It was just, we invaded and it was over. Like it was bloody. It was awful. But maybe if we'd responded earlier, it wouldn't have been like that. like maybe when it first began. And it turns out that this guy at the State Department, he was the son of a lumber tycoon, the Dubois family. And as you see, he made the family, what he did in the State Department, he grew up in this house. I learned a lot. My husband was like, oh my God. Like when Agenda 21, when like all the stories about hearing about how the corporations have tried to slow down our development after the 50s and just try to make us more and more, tear apart the society after the 50s, and like degenerate us. Remember, like in the 50s, we got televisions, we got cars, we got microwaves, we got all these new things. We went to the moon, we did all these things. And we know that all the new technology, we know especially from the 9/11 research, we know that if you haven't seen the video, you can find it on my channel. If I have time, I'll link it here. But the 9/11 research, we know they use it to destroy. We have incredible research. There is technology we know now. You don't need electricity. There's clean energy. And we've had it for decades. And instead, they used it to strike fear into our lives and invade our privacy and terrorize us and fight a bloody war. For 16 years, unnecessarily. That's what they did with the technology. And there's no better demonstration of it than their manipulation of us to de-develop us and slow down our development and start to degenerate us. Put the brakes on and then pull it back. Then when you see this is where Dubois grew up. This is his house. So, sorry, this is where I got it from. Historic Postcard Company. I actually got it off of eBay. So I guess I should take it out. But I kind of don't want to. But I will. I'm going to be very careful with it. So, this is where he grew up. You want to know when that was built? You want to know when that was taken? Aren't there houses like this right now? When do you think that was built? You go ahead and take a guess when we were building houses like this. "1903, baby. 1903. "1903. Just let that sink in. What they were building, they were living in 1903. And ask yourself why we're building what we're building now. It tells you so much. Anyway, so this is actually in Amherst, Massachusetts. And he grew up there. And, but this is the point. This proves that just because you're part of the upper class, just because you're part of the 1%, doesn't mean it's what you do with that power. It's what you do with that power. And this is why I believe the liberals made sure to go after, like, the money in politics and taking out conservatives with money and making their businesses shrink. Because Dubois was in the State Department, even though he could have gone on to the family business, but he didn't. He went to the State Department and he saw what was going on in Germany, and he saw that they were not reacting. under Roosevelt. And so finally, after years of not reacting, and him watching and him asking them to react and getting all the reports in, knowing what was happening over there, hearing photos, everything, just finally just being like, oh, they're like the gas chambers, and just knowing people are being gassed. And watching Europe just being enveloped. I mean, it was enveloped. And he finally, this one guy, one voice, he wrote up a paper. And it was like how the U.S. participated in the gassing of the Jews. He said that the U.S. was a partner, and he outlined all the names, and he said that they were co-conspirators. In fact, one of the Americans, the head of the CIA at the time, I believe it was actually on trial at the Nuremberg trials. Did you know that? He was on trial at the Nuremberg trials for coordinating the war, pre-planning it. Dubois was the head of that. Didn't hear of it? Maybe that's because they decided not to release. That would be, Roosevelt and the gang, the Democrats, decided not to release the transcripts. So Dubois did two things. He wrote 2 books. He wrote The Devil's Cauldron, which I wrote about in my research. And he wrote this book, Blowing the Whistle on Genocide. And this is the one that survived. And this is what's amazing, is in it, what I've learned already, first page, like I want to get this book now. Well, 6 million died. Now, what have you been taught about Teddy Roosevelt? Like, what have you been taught about Roosevelt? Like, imagine in your head what you've been taught. The picture of him we have. Like, I have national parks in my head. I mean, I grew up in California. That's like Teddy Roosevelt and all the great things in Hoover Dam and this and that and the Great Plan. I mean, for heaven's sakes, he's the freaking hero of America. That's the one I was raised up with. The great savior of America. That's what I was raised with. Like the holy godfather of America, one of the greatest presidents of our time. No. This is who the nation knew him for. That face. That was a famous cover. That went viral. And they buried it on us. That's his legacy. That's his legacy. And he deserves it. And I'm like, gosh, I only bought this book and now I find out about another. Like, anyway, now what's interesting is The Devil's Cauldron. Like, there's none for sale. None. Publishing house says they never had it. Google, Amazon, eBay, 0 results. Never seen anything like it. Oh, but you know what's really interesting? Really fascinating how this works. For a book that is nowhere to be found, there's a ton of reviews, or should I say, summaries, book summaries that just happen to have been written in like the last 5 to 10 years on a book that's not available. I'm like, wow, this was a really popular book. Really popular book, and it's just like by all left media. I mean, we're talking Huffington, Forbes, CNN, ABC, NBC, like everyone, Amazon, the whole 9 yards, they have all written summaries of the book. And you can just guess what they have to say about the book. You know, the book that says what happened at this trial of the CIA guy who coordinated World War II, planned it for Hitler. Guess who he coordinated it with? The corporate giants. The corporate giants. The heads of corporations. And isn't it interesting that at the end, they decided to just give them training and say, go away. We're going to release you corporate heads back into society. Get rehabilitated. That's what they said. Get rehabilitated. Go rehab. And they released these corporate people back out. And they all became corporate heads again. And then magically, the plan for Hitler's Germany just kind of started to unfold in our national media. Same thing, just slower. Showed you in my research. You think it's an accident that the 2016 Democratic Party, their plan literally reads like Hitler's plan for the German society? 21 points. You should really read Dinesh's book, The Big Lie. History is everything. Another sign that it's a hit, that this kid wasn't just a nobody, because all the summaries say, this guy was a nobody. He didn't know what he was talking about. None of them say he was the head of the trial. Not one says that he was the head of this trial for this guy. In fact, all the sites that Google brings up for the Holocaust, none of them mention the trial. They say the Nuremberg trial was the one in the movie. And if they do mention the other trial, they say, there were other trials that were like nurses and stuff. They don't mention the one about the CIA. I dare you to find one that mentions the CIA head. I did. I found a paper on it. I'll see if I can link it below for you. And even though they all denounce it, even though Google got their astroturfers to denounce it, right there in the research paper, they footnote the Devil's Cauldron for their research. That's a historical document. It's a historical record. It's considered by historians to be fact. If it's accurate enough for them, I think it's accurate enough for us. But if that's not enough for you, for you super critical people out there, all I have to say is this. If Du Bois was a nobody, then why are they selling postcards of his house for $10 a pop on eBay? I'm sorry, why were they selling postcards of his house in the first place? Why did J.E. Du Bois' house suddenly become something that Amherst wanted to make postcards for? Why would the nation worship J.E. Du Bois so much? Near celebrity status, that they'd want a postcard of his house. that he reigns still in their hearts and minds, to the extent that a postcard left over from those days is still $10. That doesn't happen for a nobody who knew nothing about anything that nobody ever knew. They don't make postcards that say where J.E. Dubois grew up and lived. You'd think it would say the Timber family's house, but it didn't. Where J.E. Dubois grew up as a little boy. While I was searching eBay for Dubois, I found another interesting find. This came up. Dubois. Because it had an article about another Dubois in it, W.E.B. Dubois. You know what it was part of? Freedom Ways. Martin Luther King. This, my friends, is a very rare copy. By the way, I did get Devil's Cauldron. They had 2 copies on Amazon, and they were very, very expensive. Worth the sacrifice, don't you think? Sometimes the pain is just worth it. If they work that hard to make sure that I can't read it. If it's that dangerous, that means their voices demand. I just can't let the voices in the concentration camp be silent. So as far as I'm concerned, it was pennies. Freedom Ways. A quarterly review of the freedom movement. So it's a quote, "I have climbed to the top of the mountain. So why is this so special? This is spring 1968. Spring 1968. This was the last interview before Martin Luther King was assassinated. Why would I get this? Why wouldn't I get something right after he was assassinated? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, because this is a really, really rare copy. Like, it's a really rare copy. It's in really good condition. It's like brand new condition. And it just has all these really fascinating things. It has, but really good things. Like, it has like poetry in it. But listen to this. This is what I wanted to share with you from it. Murder by education. Get this. Our teachers are dying. Get this. This was written in 1968. I want you to listen to this. Those of you who live in Black communities, I want you to listen up, and share, please. If you've watched my Inner City, share this, please. Our teachers are dying. New rules of free substitution seem to obtain in inner city schools. Inner city schools. You would think after 60, that was 68, Hey, it's 2018. Yeah, that's 60 years later. Nope, 44, 5, 6. Yeah, 60 years later. 60 years later, we still have inner city schools. They're writing about inner city schools here, and now they're bigger. How in the heck is that possible? New rules of free substitution seem to obtain in inner city schools. Causel points out, for example, that one-third grade class in the school at which he taught, had 25 substitute teachers in a 3.5 month period between September and Christmas. Let me say that again. One-third grade class in the school at which he taught had 25 substitute teachers in a 3.5 month period between September and Christmas. To continue the football analogy, it would appear that these teachers make up what is commonly referred to as the suicide squad, running on and off the field either to run back kicks or prevent the other team from running them back. Likewise, the teacher is called upon to either maintain the illusion of continuing education or prevent some sort of disruptive student uprising. It seems almost obscene to ask whether any teaching, let alone learning, can exist under these or similar circumstances. The full-time teacher, in a way, may be worse off than his substitute counterpart. The length of his stay in one building virtually forces him to come to grips with a wide range of energy, vitality, and creativity sapping forces by which he soon finds himself surrounded. It is my own observations that relatively few inner-city teachers have the strength to withstand the kind of criticism Causel, for example, received for teaching material not intended for the 4th grade. The supervisory reproof is sure and righteous. His response is almost predictable. Bewildered as you are by what appears to be the kind of idiocy, you still feel reproved and criticized and muted and set back, and you feel that you have been caught in the commission of a serious mistake. The denial of humanity of his pupils can only result in a dehumanized teacher. A kind of vicious circle is developed in which, first, teachers are warned against any really friendly interaction with their students. Dear God, this is like reading what I lived through. To have any friendly relationship with a student outside the classroom would make teaching him impossible or at least substantially more difficult. God, that's what we were told. Then, in order to control and restrain whatever sincere interest they may have in the children whom they teach, many teachers may not only deny their own feelings, but the feelings of their pupils as well. Any teacher who seeks a way around this usually receives the special treatment reserved for the rate buster, or worse, the deviant. Often, if he makes a point of sticking to his own integrity, he is isolated and snubbed by his colleagues. At best, he is tolerated as a slightly demented novelty. Character traits to be developed in inner-city school teachers. Obedience to duly constituted authority. To kids. This is Boston Public Schools. Curriculum Guide and Character Education, put out by Boston Public Schools. Offers some interesting examples in the direction taken by this pressure. Character traits to be developed in Boston Public Schools. Obedience to duly constituted authority. Self-control, responsibility, gratitude, kindness, good workmanship and perseverance, loyalty, teamwork, honesty, fair play. Where the heck's the education in there? Where's the learning? Where's the critical? I don't even know where to start. Do you see how important this is? Do you understand? Do you understand what it's like to read? To read from the past and find out how little you've come? You can finally compare yourself and know. And boy, then you know the truth. Boy, it just shoves all their lives right out the window. Their lies just go right out the window. Anyway, but I got it because I wanted to know who Dr. King was before they started speaking for him. That's why I got this book. This was the last time they wrote about him when he was alive. And it was them writing about him. It was the Black community that wrote about him. God, they write about Langston Hughes writes about the Dixiecrats. Writes, wow. This is incredible writing. This entire thing is just incredible essays, writings, and poems by the Black community. Incredibly. I guess you guys would say Black now, the Black condition in rural Alabama, living, food, and health conditions. Report prepared by Sylvester Christie. Geez, like... And this is what's very interesting. During the summer of 1967, the Southern Rural Research Project invited students from all over the U.S. to participate in a massive job of information gathering in certain areas of Alabama and Mississippi. The students substituting to it. I want you to notice that they interviewed all these people, and I remember, they didn't say anything about inviting Black students. Like, white students helped in this. Students of every age, race, and color helped with that survey. It would not, an ad like that would not be written today. Oh gosh, the sun's rising. I've been taping all night long, but I'm just like, get this out because I have a huge schedule coming and my health just crashed for a while there. And I'm like, get this out. Well, because I'm thinking my June is going to be gone. All right, so, and the last one is for my girls out there. You ready, girls? Are you ready? This is a Vogue. This is a Vogue from, I believe, 1992. This is one of these two were the expensive ones. These two were not. These two both like $10. So this one was less than $10. This was $10. That's what's really interesting is that this one, they didn't try to wipe. It was the other one they tried to wipe. Isn't that interesting? It's the other one that talked about the corporate interests. The testimony. Fascinating. So, but these were both rather, and I was like, yeah, I respect so, but this captures King when he was alive. That would mean his words would be involved with it. That would mean it would be before anyone started filtering him. I wanted to know how his people saw him with him. Do you know what I'm saying? I wanted to see before the Democrats took over speaking for him. I know his family speaks for him. They still do a great job, but I wanted to see how his community saw him. And, because I know it's not this whole Malcolm X thing. It's very interesting. By the way, I haven't seen anything in there about violence yet, or Malcolm X, or anything in there yet. Zero. There hasn't been one thing about Islam in there yet, by the way. Keep that in mind. Unless W.E. Du Bois was, but I don't think so. Could be very, very off about that, but I don't think so. I remember that was a very sideline community from what I remember. Like, they were not happy with that community. They did not like the violence. It was peaceful protests that got it going. All right, so one of the reasons I got this, one of the things that put it over the edge is because of this. I wanted to show you. Do you remember how I said all of our luxury has moved to, if you saw my Hermes pop off, I really popped off. If I have time, I'll link it here. But boy, I went off. I remember once I was teaching my students and I got upset or something. And I was like, duh. And I'll never forget. The students were like, did you just like, and I was like, oh, did I? I was like, no. I don't remember what I said, but I was kind of like, it was weird to see it like done back, but I didn't even know I did it. Like, and oh, that's so funny. I'll tell you guys like that. I guess I was like, oh, that's really personal. And then I was like, how? Like, how in the world is that really personal? But like, I don't know. I guess I'll say, later. But they never thought I was white. Like, they never thought I was white. I know you guys all think, like, I'm white completely. And part of that is because I tell you. But when I was healthy, when I was fully healthy, like, when I was fully healthy, and when I was out there and everything like that, oh, my gosh. Remember I said they knew me as the white teacher? Yeah, that's after I lost my tan. I entered the school with a tan. And they thought I was, like, part Asian, part black. Yep. And then when I was dancing, every time I go to, like, the club community or whatever, if I ever went to the salsa community where everyone's, because I would do that sometimes, like, sometimes we go have fun, and I go into the salsa communities where it was, like, all Spanish speaking or whatever, and they would think that I was, like, half black, half Hispanic. And I was just like, I still don't have an answer to that. Maybe it's a... I don't know where this came from. I don't know where this came from. But I'm just saying it's always been in me. They always thought stuff like that. So that's right. I remember one of my best friends when I was teaching. Her name was Keisha. She her nickname for me was just Little Black. She's like Little Black. Oh God, Little Black. She's not the girl, Little Black. And I was just like, dear, what is it about me? Like, she was just like, you are. But I've been locked in the house, so I have no color. So it is very obvious that I am white as white bread. I could not be more white. Could not be more white. Could not be more white. I was just like, I just was like, how could it would shock the heck out of me. It shocked the heck out of me. No one said that in high school or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's the dancing that brought it out. Maybe it got my spine going or something like that. And I started getting all, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Vogue. Look at that. Now I'm going to show you why I got it. Okay, well, obviously you can see why I got it. Look at that. Do you see that? Now that's just... I want to feel like that every day. Like, Vogue never has that feeling on their cover. Gina Davis. Gina Davis has the freaking perfect body. She has, like, the perfect. Like, perfect. Like, I remember finally I, like, binged on her movies to catch up on her. Like, to find out all about. And I was like, this woman, like, who is she? Oh, my gosh. I even got some tapes of when she did, like, some Oscars or something like that. And I was like, she was amazing in fashion. I have some snippets. I forget. Somebody had some tapes. They knew her. Of course. Right. All right. So I wanted to show you this is, that do you see this? This is what luxury used to look like. I really want you to take a good look at that. That's like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, now I'm getting the magazine. Because it was a bit more expensive. It was coming from the UK and everything like that. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to get it. But I was like, no, I definitely want that cover because it's old and no one's going to have it. But then I saw the back and I was like, oh, we have to have it. This is such a good example. Do Ferragamo scarves look like that anymore? Like, that's when you know they're made in China. That's what you're supposed to pay, like, the $800 to $2,000 for. Like, that's what luxury is supposed to look like. And there are brands that still look like that. There are brands that still look like that. I've posted some on my Twitter. Like, I've posted some. And you can even see, like, the hair products and stuff, like, were better. Like, they're not so drying and stuff like that. You know, and the makeup and everything. So, yeah. It just is, even the leather. And I want to show you too, like we were free. Do you notice how she doesn't have anything underneath there? Like she's got a little bit of naughty. I love that. I love that. I love that it's got a scarf. She's all tied up. So they're like, still keep it like free woman. Yep. They don't do that today. Not today at all. Nope. They put the scarf over the head and cover us up. I love this ad. I really do. It makes you want to wear it. I've never seen anything like it. I think this is definitely before my time. It's beautiful. So I got it because of that. And I've never seen a cover like this from Vogue. And it really makes me happy. And it's kind of what I want to be every day. I want to feel like that every day. So I'm starting to think, should we open it? Should we do that? Should we open it? The sun's coming up. Let's do it. Let's open it up. Ah, I suddenly see the orange bow in the background. All right, it's speaking to me. Orange bow is like, I want to see the scarf that matches me. All right, all right. All right, ooh. All right. So there, oh, it's a bit more beat up than I was hoping, but I don't think I care. Whoa. 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 That is a beautiful, oh, I want that scarf. Wow. I think that's Christy Brinkley. Wow. So that's Gina Davis. And they warned me, they said that there would be like a little writing on the end. I was like, I don't care. I didn't see in the picture. I don't care. So, that's right. I think the 90s bodysuits were in the 90s or something. I don't know. I remember. Ooh. Girl. She's a bit more sexy in the next one. That's when they can't decide which one to use on the cover. They went with the right choice. For sure. For sure. Wow. Okay, now this is a really good example. This is an excellent example. I want to show you this. I want to show you this. This is why these are so good. Here is the picture of a woman who has minimal face makeup on. Now, why is this so empowering and powerful compared to when our women don't have very little face makeup on? She has a nude lip. She has hardly anything on her eyes. She has like kind of a naked brow. She's got very little on her face, very little contouring, right? And she's got very short hair, all right? And so she's got very little clothing on. So what is different? Why is it? Like, what makes the difference? And all right, they did do some lining, but they still did it grayscale. So what makes this so different from what they do today? If this is simplistic, if this is so simplistic, why does this look like 100 times more powerful than what they do now? And the answer to that is they put makeup that matches her. Like, they didn't put makeup to purposely drown her out. And they showed her hair. They fluffed it up. They didn't slick it back. They didn't intentionally try to, like, harm her, basically. They didn't try to drizzle her up. They tried to bring her out. Like, they used all the techniques of makeup to, like, you know, enhance instead of kill. Like, that's what they try to do now, is they try to suck dry and kill. Look at that. That is beautiful Clinique powder. That is just Beautiful Clinique powder. Look at that. That is stunning right there. Stunning. All right, so here we go. These are, it's so funny because not a lot has changed, and that's really, really sad. Get this, you guys. This tells you everything. This is Cans. Here are the sled pages from Cans. Gee, who's there? Whoopi freaking Goldberg. Yeah, things have really changed, Hollywood. Nice. Whoopi Goldberg's right there. But that's my point. 92. But notice she's in the center of all the big wigs. Do you see that? The men are crowding around her. I told you she was big. This is actually right around the time of Ghost. I told you she was huge. Ooh, this proves me right. These are big men, and they're flocking around her. Ooh, this just proves me right. All right, now I need to go through this. Oh, this is so big. So Sharon Stone's there. Gee, all the same piece. Catherine Deneuve. Yeah, Charlotte Rampling. Gosh, Charlotte Rampling. Who was just in for all the same freaking people. All the same freaking people. Again, look at the difference. What a difference. Like, what a difference when you put on makeup that actually fits. And I remember looking at this stuff. They tried this for like a year, this look, and it like went out the next year. Like it came back big and strong, big hair. Like they tried to go short hair and simple, and it just did not work. This is beautiful. Look at that. Like the people rejected it. Yeah, this is 1992 actually, now that I think about it. What did they try to announce what they were about to do? Ew. Oh, I love that ad. The Art of Conversation. Wow. Sorry. I know. You guys are going to just have to get your own magazines, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of... This makes me think that there is something to this. Because there is a lot of... There is a lot of... Which is not... There's a lot of... That's an awesome... I like this shot kind of... That kind of goes more with what was going on during that time from the things I've been seeing. That kind of goes more in line what was happening. They were doing a lot more power shots like that. But suddenly, there's just a lot in here that's suddenly like exactly, like look at this. This is more what I'm talking about. Like this, they were doing the, but see, it's as if they were announcing everything they were about to do. The ladies meant like everything. The grayscale ladies meant, isn't that odd? Like it's all right here. The simplifying, and it's not what they were doing that year. I think that's very odd. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this. Look at how alive we were. But look at the difference. This is what happens when you wear makeup that looks good on you. Like when you're using the right colors and the right shades. And when you're using the right finishes for your skin tone. Look at these girls. Do you see how they pop? It's also the difference between analog and digital. This is film. This isn't digital. It makes a difference. When you use film and you don't use digital, oh gosh, I look terrible. I think I should go to bed. So, or at least try to go to bed. Gosh, these are beautiful. But I like this because when they do the ladies' man thing, like we still look like women. We still have our own style. Look at how different every single one is. And do you see how this style took effort? Like these girls, whoever styled them actually should have gotten paid for what they did. Like this took work. Like whoever did this actually earned their paycheck. The stuff done today shouldn't. Like the stuff done today, I'm like, what the heck did you get a paycheck for? Like, that doesn't deserve... Yeah, this is one of the things they put in there that I was like, oh, yeah, they said this was in there. They took this picture. Look at that. They lured me in with the red. All right, I'll end with that. The red. The rediac. She's a rediac. Oh, can't help loving red anymore. Yeah. Can't help it. All right, I gotta go. But that is the first step in my library, the first 1992 book. And now I have those. And it's kind of neat because I'm like, oh, I'm going to take this now. And I'm going to take and dissolve this, take my little goo stuff, the Goo Be Gone. I've just found out about Goo Be Gone. Like, you know, there are a couple more decades on this planet. And I'm going to put it like back there. Like, isn't that nice? And I'm like, now that looks more like, do you see the difference? And I'm like, this is all like this is all made in China. And then this suddenly looks like human somehow. And I know I love all of this. And I know it all has memories. But it also has the feel. This has the feel of history. And I would rather have mankind in my house. Do you see it? You can feel the difference, can't you? You can feel the scarf has the difference too. Like the scarf has the same feel too. It's a vintage scarf. You know, from the Mermaid's Chest. But I'm just saying like that, it feels different from all of this stuff. And I love that. And I can just tell that my husband and I, you know, we've always bought things that mean something to us, but I can just tell that now we're going to be moving towards building a library that means something in history so that we can start growing strong from those that came before us. Because we can only, remember how I said iron sharpens iron? You know, iron sharpens iron. I said, you know, my friends and I, and we grow off each other and everything like that. But imagine how strong we could grow if we start tussling with the greats that came before. Like I just heard a radio show talking about how in the 1800s, the third graders were doing harder homework than our high school kids are doing. And I was like, I want to learn from those men and women. You know, that Vogue cover that I put out from like 1903 or 1921, and it had a woman writing a book on it. And I was like, yeah, we went from women writing books to women doing this. One makes you want to buy. One makes you want to grow. I want to join. I want to get off the freeway and the circle that just keeps us buying and doesn't grow us. And I'm exiting. And I'm getting on that long thing that moves somewhere. Like moves into the distance. I want to start developing humanity again. Like I want to start developing my life again. And I can only grow as much as the people around me. But we can only grow as much as our own experiences, but wait till we add the experiences of those who came before. That's going to change it all. And bringing them into our home. Being very careful about what you bring into your home. Being very, very careful. If it doesn't feel good, like we've done that before, like we've gotten books from people, it doesn't feel good and we just, it's out, like doesn't stay in the home, right? But if it feels like even my husband, like he just was like drawn to it. It wasn't even out of the bag yet. Like I just told him what it was and he saw the corner of it and he just was like, phew, and he just couldn't let go of it. It was so special. And someone actually mailed this at 9 p.m. 1906. It was mailed January 15th. It was received Amherst, Massachusetts. I would rather be part of this history than Google's. I don't think I quite like what they have planned for me. Love you guys. Have fun creating your own library. Thank you for joining me on my own adventure. Please consider donating and share away. Enjoy. Free to share this information with anyone you choose. I love you guys so much. And have fun voting. It is voting season. If it's still 2018, if you're still watching this in like summer 2018. I'm filming this on like June 8th, 2018. Sometimes you watch videos 5 years later and they're like, yeah, go ahead. And you're like, it's like 10 years later, dude. All right. Bye.